When you hear people talk about freedom of speech, a lot of times what comes to mind is what we see, in our reality. It's about combative energy and political motives, and people make it about this side or that side, or it's just people who generally can be offended by something, or it could incite fear, it could incite violence, whatever. When we're talking about something that somebody could potentially be offended by, or even that they could potentially be swayed by or programmed by, well, first, all of media is designed for programming, for negging, a form of subtle manipulation through advertisement and marketing. I mean, this is well known. They're not hiding what they're doing. The information is easily accessible. So in essence, they are actually doing the very same thing, but they want to be able to control, that they have the power to manipulate. But what they do is very subtle. The marketing is designed for manipulation in general, because people want to sell their product. They want to move consumers a certain way. Examination of population. So what are the trends? I mean, if you look through any of your devices, it will say, collecting your data for studying purposes, essentially. I mean, they even collect things monitoring your physical body. So, it's not secret. It's my thing that I think about is, and I don't know if this just gets lost on the majority, a part of the manipulation, the very covert subtleties, even around the conversation of freedom of speech. And that's the freedom to listen, the freedom to not be offended, the freedom to be introspective, to look at an offense or a trigger as a blessing, to even look at it as an opportunity. You know, when you look at like competitive sports and football, I mean, they will actually examine the opposing team. They will rewatch the footage, right? And that is so that they can better design their strategy. So if they didn't have access to that, though, they wouldn't be able to do that. And every person has the freedom to listen. But when you take away the freedom of speech by any means, you not only take away people's ability to better strategize, to better plan, but also to better heal and to have free choice. In essence, you take away their free will. I'm a big follower of Charlie Kirk's, but and we have a different jurisdiction in the body of Christ, a very different jurisdiction, okay? And it didn't make me have any offense towards him, even though his approach to delivering the word of God wasn't a way in which I would approach. But it doesn't take away the validity and the impact of the message. I don't know anybody who could have ever listened to Charlie speak and not be blown away. I mean, he was a walking encyclopedia for God. I mean, his theology, his technical understanding of scripture was spot on. And the way he could pull it up too. So even though our jurisdiction, our area, our gifts, our offering to humanity is very different, was very different, there's still a level of respect. There's still a level of respect. And so the same thing could be said, if somebody incites violence on a train, or they're going around and just doing random things to people because they have on a MAGA hat. Or somebody from the MAGA, I was scrolling past something and I seen this lady with a MAGA hat, and like right after that happened to Charlie, she started going off about liberals this, and look what they did to Charlie, like freaking out, just behaving like, and this was like I don't want to say an older lady, but probably like in her early 50s or whatever. It's not older, but somebody that you would think would have the emotional and mental stability to not have that type of reaction publicly, to project that out onto social media. And even though I would consider myself a conservative, a Republican, I'm a middle-aged Christian white woman, I would not be in agreement with her behavior, her actions, her projecting onto every liberal or Democrat. And the reason for that is because I have the understanding that has nothing to do with an entire group of people. One singular person, even a group of people, is not a representation of an entire population of people. And unfortunately, until people come to this understanding and they start holding individuals accountable, and even within their own structures. So if it's a religious community, somebody behaving badly in a Christian community, it's up to the Christian community, and I really respect the people that do this, and I don't say throw them under the bus. I think some people do go quite a bit too far with this, but it's not, again, that's not my jurisdiction. That's not my jurisdiction. So they're being guided by God. But if somebody is speaking in a way publicly that is not an accurate representation, and this person has a platform, they have a following, they're in a position of leadership where they should be a representation of the beliefs and the fundamentals, the doctrines of Christianity. And what happens is that, other people who have unresolved issues, or that they don't understand that individual is an individual. They are not a representation. So let's say somebody who is a Muslim or even a pagan or something, they're going to latch onto a leader in a Christian community, and they're going to use that one person as a way to justify their negative feelings. And it's just fear being flung back and forth at each other, back and forth, right? And so how do you get around this? Well, one, freedom of speech absolutely has to be protected. And if it be a part of my mission to continue to share my testimony as to the level of absolute abuse, corruption, violence, hate, I mean, what I am being forced to endure right now, and ultimately both of my children, but in particular my 10-year-old son, is a level of abuse and victimization, corruption, hate that I would not wish on my worst enemy. But I also know, because of my anointing and because I am a messenger of God, an actual messenger of God, I am an actual healer, I still have to represent God. And oftentimes, not just in this incident, true messengers of God, it's a part of our purpose to be used in this way, to be aligned to individuals who don't have the fear of God, who don't believe in God, who are playing God, or who are either consciously or unconsciously forming an antichrist principality, an entity of the Antichrist. When you take an entire group of people to target one person over this length of time, to commit fraud, to steal from, to victimize a victim, to victimize a victim. And when you bring in the force of natural law, like in the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court, to take a child from his mother, when you have no legal reasoning to do that, none, you have no facts, not only take a child from his mother, but take a child from someone who was a victim of a crime, who stated that she was a victim of a crime, who has evidence that she was victim of a crime, though it isn't my burden of proof, that would be Nick Edelberg's burden of proof. How actual officials would risk their positions by committing such heinous acts of straight hate and assumption. How any person can use a court of law in order to gain access to money that is not theirs when they have no facts. Because it didn't matter what I said. They already had an agenda. It was like they already had it planned out how it was going to go. So what did it matter? It was abusive from the get-go that I didn't have a job or an income. Well, I actually have a business I created all on my own. And I've actually been independent and on my own since I was 15 years old. I owned a home, sold a home, moved into a condo on my own. Did all of that on my own without anyone. And was made a victim. And to this day, am still being made a victim. But the court just didn't want to hear any of that because they already had a pre-planned agenda. And when you walk into a court of law and you know who you are, you know that everything is a blatant lie. When you know that there is blasphemy, straight blasphemy, when you know that an attorney, an alleged magistrate, I don't even know if these are actual, I have no idea because it was more of a theatrical performance. I believe these are people that maybe have these positions and then just use their positions in the courtroom and stuff like that in a moonlighting gig, because I don't really believe that any of it was real. I mean, it definitely wasn't legal, that's for sure. And as soon as somebody who is actually just puts eyes on this, they'll see that too. I mean, maybe all of the viewers and the amount of growth and abundance that I've had, that I have no access to, because the same frauds that are silencing me, isolating me, stealing from me, the same psychopathic, crazy monster who thinks that she can hold on to my identity, the same bastards, narcissists that have been living off of my income while persecuting me, defaming my name, slandering me, performing voodoo, targeting me. And then subsequently, when none of that broke me, when I didn't self-delete, when they weren't able to shut me up or take me out, they went to the only method they could to try to get to my heart. My 10-year-old son. My 10-year-old son, whom I've had shared parenting with his entire life. And the best evidence of the mother I am is my son. Both of my children. But for you, as a grown man who has an elected position and an attorney who has the honor of being an advocate for families and children, for you to target a mother who not only raised a child on her own after the man took his life through drugs, and instead of growing bitter and vengeful and angry, instead of running myself to alcohol or some other escapism from the grief and the difficulty of raising a toddler who just lost her dad, while also going to college to be able to sit for the veterinary boards and working full-time in an emergency clinic at night, full-time, and taking care of my child entirely on my own, while also actively working on forgiveness because I didn't want to be angry. I didn't want to carry the weight of anger. I wanted her to know that she was loved. I wanted to be the bridge that she could still have some sort of bond for her father, and I did that work. And that is a part of my offering to this world. And there's an entire group of people that include law officials, police officers, and politicians who are taking part in stealing an inheritance, stocks and bonds, as well as property and all of my intellectual property, because they took over all of my platforms and my brand that I built entirely on my own. Investors in a private equity company took it. None of these people have any legal connection to me. And what they're trying to do is force me into some kind of binding contract with one of these bastards because they don't get a cut of the money that I earned. And the money that I earned, the money that was left to me, everything that is mine is meant to serve humanity. There has been enough corruption in this world. There's been enough frauds with your fake charities, your fake nonprofits that you use to buy yourself jets, 1 million homes, while you sit and you criticize, while you sit and you drive up every bill, every utility you possibly can, and then as if that isn't even enough control, then you have the audacity to try to silence people too. People who actually did the work to heal themselves. People who worked on themselves instead of acting out the same negative, toxic traits. I continued to heal and do the work. I worked my way through a company from cleaning up diarrhea in kennels to the boss of the emergency department. And then not only that, I built an entire department from the ground up, their nursing department at MedVet Cleveland West. And even after I was grossly undersupported, not given the freedom to choose what was best for my own body when I refused to get vaccinated for the virus that to this day I still have never had, I got pushed back for that, told that I wasn't being a good leader, despite the fact that I was managing 60 reports in a 24/7 hospital, primarily on my own, while also managing all of the controlled drugs, the scheduling, and payroll. When they terminated me, I wasn't bitter. I didn't lash out. I was grateful. I was respectful. And still to this day, I have a tremendous amount of gratitude for not only MedVet as an organization, but my leadership, my mentors. I will forever consider the role that Suzanne McGregor, who was the Vice President of Clinical Services there, Kristen, my hospital director, and Dr. Beauchamp, who was a medical director, leaders. I learned a tremendous, even from the doctors. I mean, Dr. Turner was, my pseudo dad. I'm not somebody who allows where God is taking me, where I am being moved to. I'm not somebody who lacks all self-awareness, who lacks all introspection, just goes around projecting out at every single person, because the truth of it is, while I was under-supported, while there was a ton of opportunity within the upper leadership, especially bridging to middle leadership, like the clinical managers for the hospitals, just in general, there was a lot of opportunity for growth there. The conversations around the pandemic, practically working around the clock, because ironically, the person who they were giving the most pushback to, who didn't want to be vaccinated, was also the one who was covering the most shifts for people that were calling off for getting sick. So there was a lot of validity in all of that. But when I took the time, and I really didn't need to take this much time because I had already been praying to God for relief. I had become apathetic towards the work that I was doing there. And if I was not honest with myself, which there are a lot of people that really struggle to be introspective and be honest with themselves and recognize the lessons that they're missing. You'll see this in witchcraft circles, in voodoo circles, in all of the shadow aspects of any religion, any political party, all of it. People who use a mask, they use whatever structure they have built around them to control the perception of who they're pretending to be. That's what they do. But I had to recognize that, yes, there could have been some things that would have gone differently. Ultimately, it was time for me to move on. And God had been trying to show me that for quite some time, actually. As soon as I started to feel apathetic towards the work, but because of the unresolved codependency and people pleasing and not wanting to disappoint people and, not wanting to be shamed and judged and, the people that I loved there, my team, and deeply respected, thinking that I let them down, if I considered other options, I went and interviewed other places. I thought about moving just strictly into administration or whatever. I didn't want to let people down. Even my mentor, Suzanne, all of the people who believed in me. But when you recognize that it has nothing to do with all of that, that is you're really your own projections. It's like people take away the value in their own experience by not acknowledging their own experience. But more importantly, when your experience is of only your creation, and this entire group of people and everybody in observation of what is happening to me and my family, my brand, knowing that I am being driven into poverty, I am being held in isolation, I am being silenced and oppressed, and my 10-year-old is being held away from me, not even allowed to communicate or see me for no actual reason. And the whole thing was a setup because Nick was a part of blocking my finances to begin with. He had no reason to do what he did. He instilled so much fear and anxiety into our son that he actually had to have an excuse to be able to put him on ADHD medications so he could numb out his emotions. And then when my son didn't want to take that, his wife, Shelby, started putting the medication in his food. This is who the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court has given custody to. My son told both me and Nick that he was very fearful of what was happening. William told me on multiple occasions that he felt like his dad was trying to get rid of me and make Shelby his mom. He told me on many occasions he thought Shelby was doing witchcraft. He told me on many occasions how much fighting was going on in their house and how Shelby was even fighting with her ex, his stepsister's dad. That there was a ton of arguing going on all around him and he didn't understand. And his greatest fear was that his dad would take him from me. And Nick kept just assuring William, no, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to go back to normal here, bud. And where are we right now? It's been 4 weeks since I've even been allowed to speak to my son. And now these bastards cut the brakes on my vehicle for the second time in a year. They've destroyed my vehicle. Why? Because they want to be able to keep up this illusion. Because they know that I was door dashing. They know that I'm making moves because they are so determined to drive a narrative and fit me into a box that is their box, has nothing to do with me. This was an agenda completely driven by a group of individuals that had nothing to do with me, other than the fact that they needed a target to project on because they have no ability to introspect. They have no ability to recognize what they're doing and who they're hurting. And right now, who they are hurting the most is a 10-year-old innocent little boy. I am demanding that every single person, Nick Edelberg, Shelby Edelberg, my mother, the vile creature that she is, Mary Grace, Rollins, Pellegrino, Brochet, any other member of my family, because I don't want to villainize or criminalize anybody. It's disgusting that I even have to keep speaking out about this. That's what's wild. It's like they want to oppress me and silence me from getting help. It has nothing to do about what I'm speaking on. How is this even allowed to still go on? I'm not tyrannical. I'm not a whistleblower, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I give people the freedom of choice. If you don't like what I have to say, then keep scrolling. If you don't want to heal, keep scrolling. I have no idea. I'm clearly aware here that there are people involved in some kind of industry based on the people that have been stalking me. I'm clearly aware that there's a religious community, a part of the LGBTQ community. I'm keenly aware on a lot of things, but again, I shouldn't even be having to talk about these things. This is not a part of my mission to keep circling the damn drain just to get a bunch of dirty ass bastards out of my way. Like, the fact that I'm being victimized and my child is being victimized daily. Lord only knows. It's like people see shit happen to children on the news and then they want to create these, like, you know, crime theory groups and these podcasts to like dissect and investigate. Well, how about you investigate shit before it actually happens? How about people actually start being held accountable for what they're doing? Nick has no actual facts or proof of anything that he spoke in that court. They want access to my finances when he knows what my finances are. I haven't tried to hide anything about my finances. But we were never married. Why would it be any of his business what my finances are when this man won't even tell me where he works? You want to talk about finances, then we should have gone to child support mediation. But he didn't want to go that route because he already knew he was stealing from me. And this is what a court of law, this is why they go through the family court. Because then their corrupt network of Freemasons, of whatever they are, there's some variety of Freemasons. They're not at all in alignment with the fundamentals. I don't think any Freemason is at this point, but whatever their little coalition network is, where they target women for no actual reason. Like, the fact that these freaks are actively traumatizing a little boy right now. There's nobody in their right mind that would think that it is not traumatic for a 10-year-old who is deeply bonded to his mother, his good mother, his mother who gave up a career. I could have continued working in veterinary medicine. I worked in veterinary medicine for 25 years. I'm sure there are many leaders and doctors that would still give me an excellent referral reference. I could have kept doing that. I could go do that at any point if I wanted to get karma. Because when your call in life, when your purpose in life is to be a messenger for God, it's not an option. And anybody who was actually of God would know that this entire group's ultimate intention, besides stealing money, because at the root of all evil is an attachment to money, and this group somehow feels like they have an attachment to money that is not theirs. They should be in prison. And the justice system ultimately, from my perspective, is to blame for what is happening right now. If they weren't corrupt and a part of this network and recognize how traumatic and how abusive it is. I mean, this will go down once this whole situation is exposed in the history books for corruption, abuse, fraud, negligence. I mean, it's extreme. It's extreme. And enough is enough. I did the work. I earned my position. And it's just so disgusting that they're the same men who claim to have these traditional values. They claim to be God-fearing men. They claim to be spiritual leaders. They claim to be, advocates and civil servants. They make all these claims. But then you have a woman that actually does the work, that doesn't project, that does ultimately, from my perspective, and this is my opinion, one of the best things you can do for yourself and your family is to heal. And if my desire, if my wishes in life is first to build the family that I didn't have, to have the home I didn't have, for my children to have the safety and the peace and the foundation that I didn't have, if that is my first, if that is my wish fulfillment, that is my wish fulfillment, and to help humanity heal. To share my testimony, the things that I have walked through, the way that I give pain purpose, true alchemy of God, of Jesus Christ, is to use the suffering and the pain, the losses that you experienced, losing so many people to addictions and disease, living my life better, but then also giving their life meaning by helping others heal from addictions, from fear, from toxic relationships, from abusive relationships. And you get some jealous people who are not happy about the fact that there's not a man tied to my money, and you can just take me out? Really? In the United States of America in 2025? Really? That's allowed? Because that's what's being allowed right now. And the methods in which this group is being allowed to do this has gone as far as making up blatant, slanderous, no facts, no truth, lies about me to take my child, give custody to my ex, who is a Satan worshiper, who does voodoo and black magic, so that he can file for child support and have access to the money that he's already stealing. Not giving a singular shit about his own child, about the damage and the trauma that he's causing him. And in that same light, my mother, who walks around like she's holier than thou, is in support of that, is in collaboration, because she doesn't want to be found out for what she already stole and the fraud she already committed. And they think that I don't know this, but I do. It's just because I know, they have to continue to try to silence me instead of actually just doing the right thing, instead of them healing, instead of them learning their lesson. But how is it that I'm being silenced? I'm being stalked and oppressed and watched. I can't even have access to the community that I built. These people have been living off of exploiting my content. See, they didn't expect that I would actually heal, that I would start creating. They didn't expect that I would go ahead and build my business on my own, build my ministry on my own. But when I did that, what they already stole, they were in fear that they were going to get found out because I was healing. So they had to take it to the next extreme. And currently what they're trying to do is break the faith of my child and break my faith. They continue to stalk me. They continue to vandalize my vehicle, now to the point that I can't even drive or earn an income. And it's like, what am I supposed to do here besides just sit here? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to continue speaking about it and creating and all of that. And I'm going to continue to work on planning and developing my program and my ministry, doing my prayer and my meditations, like everything I would do normally. But it's like the amount of abuse. Nobody in their right mind would think that it wouldn't be psychologically and emotionally damaging to take a 10-year-old little boy abruptly from his mother who gave birth to him, who raised him. Y'all, my son, while in my care, I don't think has ever even been to a babysitter other than my daughter watching him while I was at work. I don't party. I don't drink. I've been celibate for almost 4 years. I have regular doctor's visits. My children have regular doctor's visits. When everybody around you is on the come up, when you're losing everything, the audacity to think that I am dumb enough to not recognize that? No, I'm just not a judgmental asshole that needs to point it out. But I definitely noticed, and I took note of it. And so then, when I choose to allow God to handle people, when I choose to just move forward, to be who I actually am, and walk it like I talk it, unlike any of you people who are actively abusing a child. When I choose to do that, even that's not good enough. It's like, what is it? What is it that you're trying to achieve here? I have no idea what the actual even point of any of this is, other than, of course, there's money involved. Nobody ever invests, and this is how these dipshits gave themselves up. Other than the fact that they were all on the come up. And family that claims to love someone, you don't watch them go through trauma after trauma after trauma. As a man, and this applies to all 4 of my brothers, okay? As a man, and especially claiming to be a Christian man, there is no man of honor that would ever allow their sister, who is letting you know that she's being stalked and potentially human moved. No man of God, no honorable man would allow that to go on without protecting his sister. Sorry. Like, good men don't do that. Especially ones that are building properties, that just bought a home of their own, that actually are landlords and have rental properties. But you yet want to talk to me about my budget. Who do you think's been doing my budget? Me. Who do you think got everything that I've had? Who do you think has survived my entire life by myself? Me. And the only time that there ever is any kind of turbulence in my foundation is when I'm around my family. Why would I want to be around those people who are not actively supporting me, actively judging me, and not at all even standing up, protecting, even financially offering to help when my son's dad is blatantly lying on me, slandering me and defaming me, while actually stealing from me also? Why would I want to be a part? Why would I want to have anything to with what? There's so much here that is just totally disgusting. But for my son's father to hold on to so much hate and bitterness that he would continuously try to destroy me and then lie to his own child about what he's doing, for his disgusting creature of a life. Because any woman that would sit back and watch a man do this it's deplorable. I would not care. There is no way that I would ever sit back and watch a man harm the mother of his children, who literally has done nothing to either of you. Like, all the way in my lane, you guys. Like, I don't pry into their business. I stay in my lane. I compromise. I'm flexible. Whenever William would have any issues, I always side with the adults. If there were things that I didn't think were that crucial, but Nick did, I would still, even in separate homes, have William call Nick to make sure it was okay with Dad. While he was with me even. That's out of respect. That's out of respect. But that even in itself was not reciprocal. Why? Because there was already a plan. And any time that narcissists and psychopaths can't get to you, they're very triggered, because what it does is it makes them sit with who they are, because you're not engaging in it. And that's why I've chosen not to engage in this. And I damn sure I'm not going to engage in witchcraft within a family court. Like, those magistrates, everybody that was in that courtroom and participated in what happened to me, cursed that courtroom. They cursed it. And you might say that that's, whatever you want to say that it is. Doesn't matter. It's straight facts. Read the Bible. Read the Bible. You can't bear false witness on somebody who's reborn in Christ, anointed, serving humanity, and also has been made a victim, that you are further victimizing in that court, bearing false witness, making up straight lies that you have no facts on. You have no facts. You can't make claims on somebody's mental health without any facts. You have to actually prove that shit. There was no proof of that. None. And if we're going to talk about calling out somebody's mental health in conjunction with their finances when you don't even know anything about their finances. And when I made an attempt to contact Nick's attorney to provide her with the information that I did have, with the ways in which I was trying to stay afloat and earn income in the interim of investigations happening, she didn't call me back. We're just in court a year and a half before this. Nick filed then, and I had to clear out my 401k to pay for an attorney. He had me the judge ordered me to take a $600 hair follicle drug test when I've never had a history of any drug abuse, ever, in my life. But I agreed to it at that time, just to get through the whole thing, just to prove to Nick, give them all the information they wanted, because when you don't have anything to hide, you don't have anything to hide. But there comes a time when you are being victimized. All of the cowards in their little moonlighting gig that are part of the military that decided to take part in stalking me for no actual reason, you've had an opportunity to step up walking away and pretending like something didn't happen does not break you free of a curse or karma, because you're still not learning your lesson. That is still a demonstration of your weakness. To be courageous is to take accountability. To be courageous is to have integrity. To be courageous is to give a woman provision, especially a woman who deserves it. And this is the last thing I'm going to say for today about this. My whole life, I have been aligned to narcissists. It was a part of my training, obviously. God is way ahead of all of us. Being grateful that but for the people that abused me, I would not have developed the strength, the knowledge, and even in this time of isolation, it was needed God to teach me, to train me, to grow very, very personal and intimate with God. It was necessary for my ascension to have a level of isolation, to be introspective. And while it was deeply uncomfortable, especially knowing that there are disgusting Satan-worshiping psychopaths that are still watching me. I mean, could you be any more disgusting than actually watching somebody, a woman, suffer for no actual reason while you take everything from her, going around slandering you and defaming you and they don't even know you? When I don't even know who any of you are, I have a right to be angry. Anybody in my situation would have been angry. It's only a psychopath who sold their soul for clout that would try to twist the narrative of me dropping an F-bomb here or there. Most people in my situation would be doing a lot more than dropping F-bombs. Same thing with anybody that would twist the narrative about me being angry in regards to my child. Yet most mothers who have their child taken from them for no reason, knowing that my baby is in fear, knowing that actual family he is terrified of right now because he doesn't even know where his mom is, because his disgusting father wanted to get paid. And all of these men, my whole life, and some women too, whatever narrative they want to drive about me being defensive, me being isolated, me pulling away from people, me being guarded, me having walls up, look what you are doing. Look what you're participating in. How would you expect a woman to be? How? How should I be? I have no idea who or why any of you are doing this to me. None. I have no idea. Y'all, when you don't have enemies, when you do not carry the spirit of bitterness or anger, when you have actively done the work to heal, despite what any of these disgusting creatures who are not even connected to me, like my mother, like this psychopath has not even been in my life. I threw a boundary down with her years ago. So for anybody to even listen to her, that's your own problem. You need to learn discernment. She's putting that witchcraft on you, not me. This is a woman who falsely accused my father of sexual abuse. Somebody that has the capacity to do that, years later try to play out the same pattern with me and my kids? Go around defaming and slandering your own child, making up just blatant lies so you can look like some kind of hero when you're the one setting half the shit up? Sorry, I don't need to go around slandering you. The only reason I'm even talking about this is because these people are still doing this. And then they want to make you look like you're drama because you're talking about it. No, I'm talking about it because you won't get the hell out of my way. You're on the pursuit. You're on the hunt. I'm protecting myself because I'm in danger. I don't know who any of you are or why you're stalking me or stealing from me or making up lies and slandering me. I don't know why you're cutting the brakes on my vehicle. I don't know why I don't have access to my platforms. I don't know why you have taken over my entire device and are intercepting my data. I don't know why any of that is happening. So how should I be behaving? And if there was a singular man connected to any of you, if there was one man in this entire group of people that was courageous, I would not be feeling and having the position that I am right now. Not a single one of these cowards has had the backbone to come speak to me. or apologize or take accountability. Not one. But yet they will jump behind some narcissistic psychopath who's trying to steal from me. So what option do I have? I'm not a whistleblower. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Continuing to talk about this in this manner, because my testimony is a part of my offering to this world. But I don't need to give specifics, because when you actually are introspective and self-aware, when you actually do the healing work, you extract the wisdom. You take accountability. And when you extract the wisdom, when you've gone through of how it applied to you, you've come to a place of peace and forgiveness and gratitude for your experiences. When you have been born again and led by Jesus Christ, and you want to speak that healing over people's lives so they can experience the same joy, because you're not a jealous, hateful asshole. And yet there's a group of people that feel like they have the right to silence me while also refusing to pay me. Who actually has the right to hold on to somebody's money, exploit their content? And these pictures of these women that I'm showing in the video, the last video I posted or the one after this, how these monsters are able to just sit up on platforms and be able to continue to create when you're blocking me. This goes to show you some monster, some pig. And she is a straight pig. There's multiple ones. There was multiple ones that had the audacity to put their face next to my name and my brand. Do you know how much of a piece of shit you would actually have to be, as a woman especially, to put your face next to somebody else's name on social media while you're actively stealing their content, their brand, stealing their actual whole brand, their business, their LLC, their sole proprietorship, when you don't even know that person and that person doesn't know you, and you are so much of an audastic psychopath. And if I have to call this person out, if this person didn't want to be called out, if this person actually wanted to be accountable and wasn't a soulless, empty vessel freak who probably should, if she is a parent, if any of these people are parents, definitely should have their children looked on. Because you don't go around slandering and defaming somebody while you're actively stealing from them. This person should be in jail. This goes to prove to you the reason that they're silencing people that are healers. People who actually send a message of God and a family, of love, of healing codependency and narcissism, but then they will post up these psychopaths who actually promote violence, who exploit their children on social media. I mean, you have content about an empty vessel, demon, women who are deeply sick, who let a train of men be run on them. OnlyFans people. And I don't have anything against these people in particular. It's not even about the people. It's about the intention. Because how can you not silence and oppress them, but you can silence and oppress me? I know why. Because those are people that you can either launder money through, or you're getting a cut of as a man, as an opportunist who actually uses women, just like all of these cowards are attempting to do to me right now. I am sorry, you are not going to eat off my plate. And you will not convince me that all men are like this, because contrary to what you idiots are, I actually know that there are God-fearing men out there. All that has to happen is for them to expedite this situation and realize that a good woman, a good mother is in danger. That there are psychopaths hunting and stalking me, trying to take me out. And if they don't want me speaking about it, then they should probably get the hell out of my way. You're never going to break my spirit. Never. What you don't understand, especially because of who you are, when you were off being a deviant, making the choices that you made. Because I never blocked or rejected anyone. All of you rejected me, slandered me, didn't support me, lied on me. My own counterpart ghosted me. Wanted to consider his options while he was cohabitating. I haven't talked to this person in almost 2 years. To some degree, I know that he's been in observation. He knows what's happening. If he's still even of this realm, I don't know, God forbid. He's had plenty of opportunity if he is of this realm, though. Or he's in prison. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. We never even had a fight. He wanted to consider his options. He ghosted me. Okay, I moved on with my life. What am I supposed to do? Lay down and die? Any man who would listen to what I had gone through, who called himself my friend, who knew, just like him, the struggle of the trauma that I went through. This is a person who experienced many of the same things that I did, allegedly, and then had the audacity to try to break my heart, to try to break my spirit on purpose. You are the lowest of the low of a human being, that you can let somebody let down their walls for you, trust you, and not trust you to be in a relationship. We were never in a relationship. I couldn't hold him to that standard. Why? Because I was busy healing, so that when I got into a relationship, I could be the best version of me. Didn't prevent me from communicating. It's like trying to make a trauma bond and toxicity out of something that was never toxic. None of this did I ever throw back in his face, because why would I? I'm not his mother. I'm a 44-year-old grown woman, a divine feminine, a high-value woman that should be respected. And this bullshit needs to end. And if Derek is still around, not in jail, he has just as much of an opportunity as the rest of you to step up and do the right thing. But you damn sure, as a man, should never be speaking on a woman who is out here unprotected, standing alone against an entire group of people while I'm being stolen from. You are of the highest form of audacity and arrogance, selfishness, and stupidity. Stupidity. To think that I am defensive? To think that you have been rejected? To think that I'm a bitch? No. I'm a good woman who has been treated disrespectfully, disloyally, shitted on, in the famous words of Miss Nicki Minaj, over and over and over again. And now, it's your turn to get shitted on. All of you.